Hello and welcome to Sworn. This will be a single player any percent one run. So let me go ahead and edit my splits to reflect that. That would be helpful. Let me just go to one character. Boop, there we go. Sorry, still got those saved from practice I was doing with my co-op partner. But here we are. I will be attempting a solo any percent plus Morgana percent run. Now, the reason I will be doing any percent plus Morgana percent in this run is because that is what I would love to be able to submit. Now, for the Morgana percent run and the potential upgrade to Morgana percent for an any percent run incentive, we are going to be going against meta. This is the effective build I have found for Morgana percent. It will be utilizing a lot of the same build basics for what the meta is for the normal any percent speedrun, but for the extra Morgana percent, utilizing Shadow Strike as opposed to Assassin's Dagger has proven much more effective for me. We have already topped off on our 3 extra dice that we can buy with Moonstones, and this will be on Squire difficulty. So without further ado, we're just going to jump right into the run. We will be using the Vigilante with the bow staff, a nice light and fast character. The fun part about the Shadow Strike ability is that you will be locking onto enemies and just teleporting right to them. Very convenient. And we will be building off of bottom. As you can see, we're already utilizing a couple of those rerolls, just one for now. And we are going to reroll again and get Shadow Flourish. Our spell will now be able to backstab. Very useful for a spell that backstabs by default. Very, very convenient. Now, we will not be taking Bottom's second ability, as much as I would love to. We do have a few other plans in the making for that. If we get the right RNG that we need, we will poke our head in here, and we will go ahead and buy that Blessed Book. It is a little... Actually, we will go ahead and grab the Beast's Eye, since we only have the one blessing right now. That will go ahead and take Shadow Flourish up to level 5. So now our backstab will be dealing 160% damage when we use our spell. So basically anytime we use our spell. Very, very powerful, very, very convenient. We do have a token flipped that allows us to do a lot more damage from behind with our spell, and also allows these secret shops to cost less money, which is nice. I'll poke my head in here, but I don't believe I'll be able to afford anything, at least nothing that I need. So we're just going to go ahead and poke our head into here. That icon that you see on that pop-up is for a major foe. We should actually be able to hit this major foe relatively quickly. Only downside of the Shadow Strike ability is that it doesn't necessarily lock onto the foe that you are locked onto. It locks onto the foe that is closest to you and is most convenient for it. We do have a solution for that in our build down the line that we will hopefully be seeing soon. But I will reroll really quickly. Not who I want, but I will go ahead and take it just to conserve a few of my rerolls. There we go, Spellcaster, that's what we were looking for, and Legendary is not a guaranteed drop there, but we will certainly be taking it. 40% base damage to our spell just flat off the top there. Thank you, Beira. We'll be taking Beira's blessings because Beira helps us recharge our mana as well. Beira is wonderful, and obviously crowd control as well on top of that. So nothing to really write home about beyond that. And Marked for Death. As much as I would love to take that right off the bat, we're actually going to re-roll here. No. Omni-Slash, there we go. Omni-Slash is our solution that we've been looking for. I'll go ahead and talk to Lancelot. This is the first step that we need to do on our path to Morgana percent. And there we go, you're already seeing it. Omni-Slash allows us to target in an area with our spell and allows us to do 20% more damage with our spell as well. Marked for Death will be picking that up down the line, so no worries there. If you couldn't tell, it's a pretty spell-focused build. We're already dealing 600 damage with our spell, but we thankfully do have contingency plans for if it ever doesn't work out, if we are ever locked out of bottom for some reason with our spell. And even this enemy right here shouldn't be a problem. This is a legendary beast. Hey, we got the easy one of the two. This one you can just sit behind it and backstab it at one point once it gets to a certain attack, but we will hopefully not even have to worry about that. It was just about to throw that attack out, but we are dealing so much damage. Normally we'd jump into that shop there to save some time, but we need to stock up on gold. We need at least 300 to buy a specific gem for a requirement for Morgana percent, so we're going to take a little bit of time loss right here. Thankfully, not too much, because, again, we're dealing a lot of damage already. Power scaling is going well. As we clear out the rest of this floor, this would be a great time for some donations, messages from a host, anything like that. Nothing to mention at the moment. We're really just clearing out waves of enemies and power scaling. There's meta currency throughout here. We're using Horns of Strength to upgrade specific abilities, upgrading one ability over another since that gives us more damage directly to the spell as opposed to the backstab specifically, though we should always be backstabbing with this spell. It is a backstab by default, but just in case. Utilizing environmental hazards to clear out enemies faster, and we'll poke our head down here as to what this shrine is. We can get blessings from some of the deities from shrines that will occur that you can't get any other way. We don't have any blessings from Titania right now, so no real reason for us to take this, so we're just going to not take it right now. We don't really have any reason to take a blessing from Titania, but it could be useful down the line. You can deal more damage at low health, or deal revenge damage, things like that. So there are options for it where it could be useful, but you never know. And here we go, topping off on health with a Fey heart there. We'll grab some Moonstones over Fairy Embers. No real reason for that beyond the fact that Moonstones are more viable for long-term runs and run continuation. We use Moonstones to buy the rerolls that we can utilize to change our fate. And you will notice we are a little underpowered in every facet that isn't our spell. That is a little unfortunate right now. We have not gotten everything that we need, but that is life. I will check up here, see what we have. Gog Magog. I have been looking for Gog Magog, so we are going to hold off despite needing to see Lancelot to buy certain things. Oh, and with an epic light attack. Yeah, RNG's playing in our favor right now. So we will talk to Lancelot later. As you can see, this is locked. It requires 300 gold. We have 219, but Gog Magog's blessing will be very, very nice for us down the line. What that blessing is going to allow us to do is unlock a potential for a duo blessing between Gog Magog and Bodub, which will allow us to scale up our damage over time. It will allow us to also do a few other things, but we'll talk about that when we get there, such as that stagger bar that you're seeing whenever I am hitting Gawain, the Butcher of Wirral. Though we do have to step back a little bit here. This is the shortcoming of this build that I'm choosing to run. You don't have a lot of ranged damage options, but it makes up for it in pure raw power. And there we go, 342. We did go a little bit slow through that first area. You want to be a little closer to 3 minutes, but with the power scaling that we have been able to do, it's not that big of a loss. We should be able to make that up down the line. Plus, we also took an encounter with Arthur's Knights to get that blue gem. we are going to actually take the Essence of Frost here, I think. We could take any of these. These are potions you're able to refill every single time. Normally I'll take the Thunderclap or the Sanguine Serum. Thunderclap deals 300 damage, you get 3 uses. Sanguine Serum, you can refill your health, 1 health point per hit that you deal to an enemy for 45 seconds. But for now, I'm going to take the Essence of Frost to guarantee myself a Bera Blessing down the line, just to start ensuring some mana regeneration or extra mana accessibility. And here we are in Cornwall Township. And Cornwall Township is probably my least favorite area of the game, but still very, very fun. You get to deal with, well, what do you think? A medieval town has a lot of rats all over the place. We could take Gongagog or Bodob here, no real preference, except for the fact that Bodob will likely scale with our abilities here. So we're going to go ahead and take Bodob here, see what we can do off of our backstabs, and try and kite these enemies into one area. And here we go, stun that enemy with a lot of attack here. Stealth Caster is not a bad option, so we'll go ahead and take that. Poke our head over here real quick. Yes, Lucky Coin is not something we will say no to, and we'll grab Bera's Blessing there. We haven't even used our potion yet because we saw that Fey banner. We didn't need to take it though. That Fey banner had environmental effects attached to it, and that would have cost us more time. So we get to actually reserve our potion for a little bit longer. We'll reroll here just because we can, and we will take Arcane Engine. Faster mana recovery speed is always nice, and that is exactly what we're looking for from Bera. More mana, faster mana recovery, anything like that. We'll go ahead and drink that potion now, that way next banner that we take, we are guaranteed a blessing from Bera, and you can already see we're using our spell faster and more often. Very, very potent, very powerful. We'll dip into this shop here. Hopefully we will see Lancelot in the corner there and be able to buy that last gem we need to fulfill our Morgana % requirements, and there we go. All pressure is off on getting to Morgana % as long as we get to Sir Arthur, or King Arthur I should say. Heck, kings. No one likes kings in my towns. We'll be just fine. For now, these are the Mauler Rats, my preferred of the two enemies that we can encounter here. They are a little bit easier in my opinion to deal with. Despite the fact that you are keeping up with two enemies at the same time, I do just find them a little bit easier, especially with this build. The other option is basically an assassin rat that just loves to be extremely mobile, and he actually outpaces us ever so slightly with the meta build. So these two, since it is basically a divided health pool, they are a little easier to take down in my opinion. So, moving forward here. Ooh, Treasure Goblin. That gives us a little extra gold, helps us bounce back our economy a little bit, so we should be able to buy some more upgrades down the line. Not bad. Grab some moonstones and keep it cooking. No real reason to take the horn right there unless we want to try and upgrade our mana recovery, but again, we're going to hopefully be doing that with Bera. So instead, we'll take some gold to hopefully guarantee at least some more mana down the line. And there we go, we're just cooking through these enemies here, restoring our abilities, and there's the Fey banner. This should be guaranteed to have Bera in it since we have used the Essence of Frost potion. That little environmental effect that you're seeing down there is a potential or a Merlin or Morgana blessing. Yes, Morgana, the final boss of the game, also possibly giving you blessings. There are some details there. They do come with a cost. They are not without their own drawbacks, but they could be a massive swing to your ability. I think I will go ahead and take Spell Thief for now. That is the option I'm going to choose to take here. We'll grab the rarity upgrade from the Spellkeeper's shop. I shouldn't need anything else from there. Spell Thief upgraded rarity, you'll love to see it, and Stealth Caster as well. I'm not going to dip in there, we have no reason to go in there. That would just be time loss for us. But Spell Thief being an upgraded rarity now is going to be very beneficial to us in the long run, because now we can just whack up enemies even faster and regenerate our mana from dealing damage to enemies. So deal damage, get mana, use mana, deal damage. It becomes a vicious cycle that just wipes enemies off the face of the planet. I have been working on this build for a while, and I have finally refined it. And I am going to go ahead and take Like a Ghost. This will give us basically 2 seconds of a 50% evasion chance every time we use our spell because of another ability that we have taken. This Stealth Caster, technically 2.5 seconds, because using our spell will give us invisibility. This gives us a chance to evade all invisible, so on and so forth. I'm sure you all are capable of putting 2 and 2 together. And here we are, Sir Percival, the second knight of the Round Table. Let's see what we can do against Percy here. And there we go, that's second Knight of the Round Table down. Percival is gone, and we are going up to the next area. Quick little pause between areas to refill health, potions, etc., etc. So, nice little time for donations, messages from charity, messages from sponsors, anything like that that we need to do. So whatever would need to be said here, it would be a great time. We're actually going to swap over to the Sanguine Serum. Thunderclap is not too useful for us. It's this point now. It's useful early, but not really anymore. We'll go for the Sword in the Stone here, and go for the second piece of our upgrade puzzle. We could do a number of different things here, so we'll see what we get. And there we go, Marked for Death, 20% damage increase to our spell. We heal now when we kill a marked enemy, and we heal off of killing enemies with our spell guaranteed. It is a win-win-win for us. We'll go ahead and take the Fey Gift, no reason not to. Oberon. I don't really use Oberon, no reason to do it, so we'll take Tempest Dash. Has no real positive or negative effect either way. That is the Fey Gift for you. It'll do that. You buy it, and you hope you get something good, and sometimes you get one of the deities you don't use in your build. But hey, it's fun. And you can already see just some of the fun that we get from our upgrades going in. We are dealing 800 damage a slash here off of our spell. As much as I'd love to take a Fey Banner for potential further power scaling, not really going to do that. Really just going to focus up on increasing damage output here. And again, we also have the heavy attack ability that will allow us to increase our mana regeneration whenever we use our heavy attack. We don't have enough coins to buy anything here, but we're using it regardless because guess what? It avoids an encounter, so it is time save by default. Yay! And there we go, secret shop up here. Let's poke our head in. I don't think we can afford anything here. Normally I'd pick up a bit of faded dice. I'll quickly glance around, see if we have a chest that has coins in it. I don't think so. So just gonna quickly take a sip of water before jumping into the legendary beast. I say you get either the more annoying or less annoying one of the two here, and we got the more annoying. We got the Galvanic Witch. I say she's the more annoying because she has a lot of AoE attacks, and she likes to dive underwater, which means she gets invulnerability frames. She gets iframes, we don't get iframes. So she's just able to do more damage to us. We have less opportunity to deal damage to her. But with our build scaled up to this point, she's still merely a nuisance. We'll go ahead and take the Fairy Embers of the Moonstones here because they have the major enemy. Major enemies, we should be able to burn through them very quickly, and if they don't have the opportunity to spawn extra enemies as backup, then in theory they should be faster. That is, if they spawn. This area seems to have a strange habit of not spawning the major enemies in. It seems to have a very limited pool of major enemies in its budget, so yes, sometimes you just get less enemies, and less enemies means you go faster too, so I don't argue with it either way. It works for me either way. We're going to go ahead and upgrade our Mighty Touch. That means that we're now dealing over 75% damage. Morgana really wants us to take a blessing. You know what? For the people. For the people, as Argic would say. Shoutouts to Argic. Love Argic. Morgana blessings, you're going to be destroying pillars down here. Static spawn locations every time, so technically it is faster than a Arthur blessing where you have to set up all the pillars. That is assuming that you're dealing enough DPS to deal with these pillars effectively. Last one, and there we go. But yes, as you can see, this is some of the potential wonderful things you can get from Morgana. Nothing really beneficial to us. I'll go ahead and take Lethargic Might because it has the least drawbacks to me. But yes, Morgana, Corruptions, and Merlin's Blessings, not the most beneficial and really just time loss at the end of the day, but hey, gotta show it off for the people sometimes. They can be powerful, but there is no real reason to utilize them. You're basically taking a gamble of time loss or time save, and most of the time you're hitting time loss. It's kind of like betting on the double zeros on a roulette table, you know? You're not gonna hit that most of the time. We'll go ahead and upgrade Spell Thief there, though. Increase the amount that we are getting back in mana from dealing damage to enemies. Duck into this shop here real quick. Again, we don't really have anything we'll top off on health, but we don't really need anything, thankfully. Our build is solid. We're just going to be taking out Lady Bedivere here, and hopefully this should be a pretty fast fight. And because we are so well scaled up and I'm so confident in this build, I'm able to just stand there and tank hits and throw damage right back at Lady Bedivere, cook right through that boss, and move on to the final little section of this any percent portion of the run. Again, we'll take the health just in casers. You know what? Nah, we don't need it. We're gonna go ahead and take Essence of Frost. We'll take Beira's Blessings down the line. go for more mana and power scaling. We're gonna throw a little bit of safety to the wind. I say a little bit because we should be very safe at this point.
Do you if you that you'll
And here we are, the round table. I just realized we can't even use the potion there, so that was actually a wasted potion. We cannot use it more than once in a run. That's fine. Little bit of a brain fart on my end, but hey, happens to the best of us. Tactical error, but who knows, maybe we'll still see Barret. Nope, we see bottom, but that's okay. We got Bone Collector, that's exactly what I've been hoping to see for a while. Duo Blessings are rare. But killing a foe will now grant us bonus to all damage on attacks. We get up to 100% extra damage. That is a duo between Botob and Gog-Magog. And it's going to be coming in late, but it will be coming in, and you will see it coming in clutch as we go in against Morgana down the line. So certainly not a bad option to see here down at the end. I will not be complaining. That is power scaling of the finest capability. And you can also see the Spell Thief Blessing coming in there as well. We're using our spell almost constantly. The only real threat here is this Berserker. These AoE attacks deal a lot of damage and are kind of dangerous. We'll go ahead and yoink Gog-Magog here, see what we get from them. You know what? We'll go ahead and take Mighty Strike, have that heavy attack deal a little more damage. We'll yoink the gold here, because why not? We are so comfortable in this build at this point that we can just go with whatever we want. We can add anything we want into this build now. No need to remove anything. We are just flowing nice and smooth. Arthur's fight should be a piece of cake. We'll go ahead and grab the Sanguine Serum again, though. Did kind of forget that I cannot take Bear's Blessing after all. But here we go, into the throne room for the Grail. Let's throw the king from his corrupt throne. Unskippable cutscene, by the way, so perfect time for a few messages. A short little message or something like that. But Arthur will be opening with his same 3-hit pattern that he always does. It's always a 1, 2, 3, and I just like to let him do it because it's funny to see him try and fail every single time, and then he follows in with that spiked attack there. The best part about this attack is I get iframes when I teleport with my spell, so if I'm teleporting with my spell, I don't need to worry about dodging those circles. And if he's stunned, I can pop my potion without fear. And there we go. Just even more reason for me to use that potion there. And here we are, phase 2, nice and easy. Same attack pattern to an extent. And I'm just gonna kind of sit behind Arthur and keep laying in the damage. Yes, I took some damage there, but you gotta deal damage to... or take damage to deal damage, whatever you want to say. Not the best philosophy, I know, but we got the better of the two options here, and we're just gonna stun Arthur again. Charge up our mana a little bit more there. Not even gonna take a death here, and there we go. We are able to take up to 3 deaths if we need to. We've got those 3 revives down there, but We shouldn't even need to take one there. And that would be time on the any percent portion of this run. But now for why we put in all this groundwork and went against meta. Why we went against the usual meta for any percent runs. The Morgana percent. I'm gonna go ahead and top off that potion just in case here. Shouldn't need it, but again, we're playing for safety and consistency here as well as speed. Jumping right into Morgana percent. We are dealing with stronger enemies that are going to also be able to throw down Curse. And Curse can lower our maximum HP. So definitely something we want to avoid at all costs, if at all possible. It'll go down 2 HP at a time, and while we are at 190 HP, that does reduce how much health we get back when we revive and things like that. So again, we want to avoid Curse. You can see our spell just dealing more and more damage thanks to Bone Collector. We were dealing less than 1,000. Heck, we were dealing less than 100 technically at the very, very beginning, but now we're dealing so much more. I'm going to go ahead and take Light Impact just for extra damage. The more, the merrier on damage. And we're going to take the Horn of Strength as opposed to the health upgrade. We shouldn't need health at this point. We should be safe. And here we go. Just nailing these enemies now. Ooh, first bit of Curse taken. You heard the little base pluck there. And somehow treasure goblins can even infiltrate inside of the Grail. Don't ask how, they are magical. We'll go ahead and increase our evasion while invisible chance, and go ahead and take on this major foe. Not a problem. Should be nice and easy. And again, that major foe's already gone, look at that. No chance for them to call in reinforcements. So now we're just cleaning up the rest of these enemies, and boom. We'll go ahead and take Beira. Why not? Additional mana charge? Yes, please. Thank you, Beira. Now we can use our spell 3 times instead of just 2. Jump right into the next room, and here we go. Technically, you can use your spell up to 3 times anyway by default. It is a matter of how many dash and dodge charges you want. You can use up to 3 dashes, up to 3 mana charges, and a minimum of 1 each, and a maximum of 3 each. It will be a balance of 2 that I personally usually opt for when I'm playing casually, but the meta is usually 3 mana charges, 1 dash charge, and using the Assassin's Blade with the Vigilante for any percent runs. But for Morgana percent and Morgana percent's consistency, I have opted to utilize the Shadow Strike spell, and I'm sure you have been able to see why, and I've actually been able to get it relatively competitive with other high-level times for any percent. Don't really need to take longevity, but why not? I've never seen this before, so heck it, why not? We'll also go ahead and take this. We'll go ahead and take Dying Spark. We'll deal more damage with anything when our health is below 35%, so thank you, Titania. We shouldn't have to worry about going below 35% health, but you never know against a super boss like Morgana, which we are about to just jump into right now. Unskippable cutscene, so final chance for messages before we get into the fight. Obviously, there would be plenty of options of times for messages throughout the run. Messages from the host are very, very important, and I would never want to limit their chances to speak. But Morgana here, this is the attack that we would love to see from Morgana the most, because if she's ever there, we can just get right behind her and attack very often. Boom, there we go. We'll be able to get another stun off in here. But we're dealing over 1,300 damage per spell attack, and there we go. We're already on phase 2. We're going to go ahead and pop our second spell or potion here as she goes into phase 2. We don't like this attack here, but that's okay. We're going to just lay in the damage with our potion activated. We still have all 3 revives, so we're not too worried. We're just going to focus on regenning our mana. We have managed to avoid the worst possible attack pattern that we can get. And there we go. That is time. Not time yet, actually. That is time. Once we hit approach on Morgana, that is time for a solo Morgana % run. And that is pretty close to what I've been getting consistently with this build, now that I have adjusted away from the meta for a 1 per layer, 1 character run. 35 minutes RTA is a time that I feel safe in submitting. I feel like I should be able to come even further below that by the time we get closer to the event. So, thank you for watching, thank you for your consideration. I would love to get to show this off at Awesome Games Done Quick 2026. 1844 in-game time. Pretty sure that might actually be world record for Morgana % currently. Let me double check that. I'd love to be able to say that this submission is world record. Yes, that is world record for Morgana % right now. Congratulations, you just saw world record for 1 character, 1 player Morgana %. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, GG's and good night. I have been James Swan.